I am a jerk. Yep, that's me. I'm a jerk. Do you know what the last Mark 85 update video was about? It was about the lightning refocuser. It was about this super cool backpack lightning thingy. Hey, it's done. I didn't really talk too much about that. But you know what the last update video was about? It was about me repainting the suit. That was over a year ago. Guess what? The suit's repainted. I did the one thing I would even complain about with other videos. When I started this whole cosplay 3D printing journey thing, I'm like, hey, isn't it annoying when people like start showing you how to do something or build something and then they kind of just gloss over a whole part of the build and they're like, hey, look at this cool thing. I did that to you guys and I didn't even realize. I was getting ready to film the final Mark 85 update video. I was sat down on my computer and said, this is it. I'm gonna plan out and edit the last video. But then I realized I haven't talked about the paint or the electronics or finishing the lightning refocuser. So that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm just so emotional. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Frank, and today this is a Mark 85 update. A lot has changed since the last ones. The suit's done. I know I said that in another video, but like, it's done. It's actually done. And this isn't the last Mark 85 update video. There's going to be one more after this, and it's going to be a recap, a summation of everything, and I have a lot of cool things to share with you. I think I said in the last video about the lightning refocuser, there might be one more after this, and this is it. So I want to talk about where the suit stands now. I mean, like, not literally behind me, you get it. But I want to talk about the final changes I've made to the suit, the new chest, how I fitted that, the electronics, the new collar and neck system, that's done. It works awesome. Some modifications I made to the helmet, some quality of life, comfort improvements, and then the lightning refocuser. Because this thing's pretty awesome and I'm really proud of it and it looks so cool in pictures. So for those of you that actually watch my other videos, you'll know that I just recently got back from England and visiting Colin Furs' farm and going on the anti-gravity machine thingy. And homeboy here took some damage. Not only from Maker Central, not only from the zero gravity arm, but also packing it really shoddily in my suitcases to ship it back to America. I could have spent a lot more time on that. Some stuff broke. Whoops. Case in point, this entire thigh is now completely split in half. It is duct taped together on the inside right now. It's split after 3 years of wear and tear. If you guys remember when I moved back to the States, one of the shins had split for the exact same reason. It was a very low quality PLA weld. I only did the inside. I used super glue, did nothing on the outside, and over time, just stress fractures. It happened. You know, I could have avoided it. I didn't. This one is also starting to go, but it hasn't quite split yet. I should have done better. All of those old, really cruddy PLA welds are just starting to fail over time. The flexing, the paint moving, everything, it's just gonna happen. But I didn't build this thing to just look cool on a stand. I built it to wear it and enjoy it. So hey, breaks are happening. If your armor isn't getting scratched or damaged or broken, you're not really wearing it, I promise you that. So I have no regrets, not even one letter, but let's go over a little bit more of the suit, the things that have changed, especially the new chest and the electronic system. All right, actually, let's start with the helmet. One of the biggest problems I was having in this suit that would make me tap out from wearing it for too long was the helmet. It was too tight on my head. And one of the big problems that was leading to that was the fact that the servos right here were just digging into my forehead. There was no comfort there. I had padding, but that was the main part that was just holding the helmet onto my head. I've since gone and actually added a substantial more amount of padding that not only starts on the top of the servos, but actually pretty much operates like a mohawk and comes all the way to the top of my head. I also took some time and used a soldering iron to melt in wire channels and actually bury the wires into the walls of the print. If I run my finger over this part where the tape is, you can't feel the wires because they're inside the print. Now you gotta be careful with this or else you'll melt and blow out the back of the print, so I definitely recommend doing this before you paint it. But now, with just that little bit of extra room, the helmet is way more comfortable and the weight is distributed across the whole top of my head. And because of the elastic bands that I have on the jaw, they're still magnetic, which is great. So I can still open and, you know, move the jaw. The reason I added the elastic is when I would talk, if I would do this, the jaw might fall off, and then if it falls off at a con, that's not a good look. So the helmet is substantially more comfortable, and it still looks really good. I just had to do a little bit of cleanup and wire management. I also was getting rather annoyed having to plug in two separate plugs in the back of the helmet. If you guys remember, I had two 3-pin JSTs. Well, one of those wires always went to the LED lights that were on the back of the helmet. I realized nobody cares about those or even knows they're there. So I got rid of those lights, and I was able to condense it down to just one plug, a positive, a negative, servo 1, servo 2, and LED eyes. What I might do, maybe, or at least do it on the next suit, is my buddy Talon gave me this idea. The same signal wire and power wire that powers his LED eyes, he just runs that to lights back here. Genius. They didn't have to be neopixels, they just have to be white. Oh well. Oh, and for anybody wondering, I can still remove the Velcro that is on the jaw and take the jaw completely off for maintenance, so it helps a lot. Moving on to the neck. The flexible PLA neck worked out beautifully. If you guys want more information on making this thing, go check out this video, this video. It's on the screen. This is so much more comfortable than the old neck. This is the old neck. This was the solid PLA neck, and it wasn't bad. Everybody always said, oh, that must be so uncomfortable to move around in, but like, are you guys walking around doing this all day? Like, yes, I can still turn my head. It is stiffer, but people don't typically walk around doing this with their neck. It just looks more uncomfortable than it is, because now you're noticing just how much you don't move your head. This is much better though. On top of the flexible neck, I also swapped out the chest. Now, this is early MK85 update video territory. This is the V1 chest file set. The chest and the collar are all one piece. If you guys remember from the early videos, I ended up printing out the V2 abs, which have just different details. They're a little more organic, and I was using it with the V1 chest. It gave me this really bad gap here that is visible in so many photos. It bugs me. I don't know why I never thought to just print out the new chest. Stupid me. So this is the V2 chest, V2 arc reactor, the whole collar and neck system, and it just looks way better. Also, I'm not like really sure what to do with this old chest. I don't know if would people want this in like a giveaway? Like I could sign it, put lights in there, you can hang it on your wall. Like, and I don't know. I really just genuinely don't know what to do with this thing. I don't really want it. It's taking up space. Yeah, let me know in comments what I should do with this. So I was actually quite fortunate due to the way I had designed the chest and neck system and the whole back attachment system. Getting this new neck and collar to fit on my suit was actually super easy. Wow, I have really good Velcro on this stuff. Oh, here's a spot that broke. The shoulder plate has a nice crack in it. Oh well. Everything for this is exactly the same. The cod piece goes on the same. The abs still connect to the lower back with some Velcro. Nothing abs down has actually been updated. I'm still using the same buckle and harness system and the little JST connector that connects the abs to the chest. So then we can just go and remove this. So now the abs are completely free. And I basically just cloned everything from the V1 chest over to the V2, except this is two separate parts now. I can actually remove the connector plugs here to the LEDs, and I can remove the entire chest. Like the neck and collar are completely separate. As you guys saw in previous videos, this is the back system. It's basically just a shoulder backpack that comes over my shoulders, and there's Velcro here. So then I can take the collar system and just put it on exactly like that. So I wear it just like this, and it Velcros in, and I have a lot more range of motion in my neck. It is so much more comfortable than before. And then to hide the wires in the back, I have this flexible PLA back neck part that just Velcros on. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it right now. Usually somebody else needs to get this for me, but it just Velcros to the back like this, something like that, and it just hides the wires, and it looks better with the back on, but yeah, it's a lot more comfortable. And because of how the collar system sits and this one buckle here, I can just take the chest and slide it right on. Usually, there it goes. See? And it just hangs there, and it gives me a little bit more range of motion. Everything just looks a little more natural. At the end of this video, I'm gonna lay out the entire electrical system and kind of walk you through where all the power is going and the whole flow of the LEDs. So don't get too wrapped up in just all the cable management here just yet. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. One thing I did end up getting rid of is I used to have this removable arc reactor system where I could slide this arc reactor in there, and it was cool for details, and it was a gimmick that no one really cared about. So for the new chest, it's the same arc reactor, the same style file, except it's just glued in there permanently. There's no reason to take it out. I just used some clear PLA rafts to diffuse it. You can actually see there's a little triangle in there. I stacked some of the PLA on top of each other, so it gives it a nice effect when it's lit up, and I just still love the level of depth and detail that gets. Aside from that, nothing's really different going on in here. I do want to explain though how I wear the whole lightning refocuser backpack on the suit. So for this, I'm gonna use the original chest because it has more room in the neck and it's just more comfortable right now to wear. This is how the backpack connects currently. So I have this big Velcro tab, and it is the hard side of Velcro. I don't know, the hook or loop, I don't know the difference. And then the soft side's here. So this is how my current neck and back go together. They just line up like this. That's it, pretty simple, get the gap as close as possible. So for the refocuser, I basically made the exact same tabs, but I just reversed them. So now I have soft Velcro on the bottom and the hard Velcro on the top to sandwich in between this. So pretty easy to do. I can take this off, attach the refocuser to those exact same tabs, and I just have some magnetic elastic bands down here to help keep everything cinched together because I don't want the backpack flopping around too much. So now it's all one piece with the backpack attached to the back. From there, I put it on literally the exact same way, and now I have these Velcro tabs up here to put the chest on. And it just goes like this, line them up like that, and that's it. The backpack's on, the suit isn't modified at all, everything still connects. The only thing I had to take into consideration was now this chest sits up just a little bit higher because that sandwich system, but with the flexible neck on the new neck and collar, it doesn't matter. It just stretches out a little bit more and it's comfortable. I will say though, while walking around WonderCon with this thing on, I did bump into a few things. That's why the two lower spikes aren't currently connected. They're the smallest ones, but somehow I bumped into things with these more often than not. So it did break some of the little metal bars that were holding them together. It's gonna be easy to fix, I just haven't fixed it yet. Now electronics wise, the lightning refocuser is completely independent from the rest of the suit. Let me get this off and I'll show you. So this big USB battery pack in my back powers my entire suit. All the lights on the back, the repulsors, the stone, the helmet, it's all one power source. But I didn't want the lightning refocuser draining power from the suit. I'd rather the refocuser die by itself and still have control over the helmet and everything so I can breathe. So when I was designing it, well, let's see if I can put this off without dropping it. That's it. The refocuser is completely independent. I have a Crashworks Alicia board here for powering and controlling all of the lights. I have a big USB battery pack down here, and it works great. Look at how nice that came out. Look at that blue ring just from the reflection on this. That came out so sick. I also hid a kill switch under here, and it's hidden by one of the spikes. You can see that black switch right there. So at any point, somebody who's my handler or walking around with me can just turn off the backpack. The suit itself lasts 8 to 10 hours on that battery pack. I'm talking all day at a con, that battery pack still won't die. Mask up and down, all my lights on. It's great, but this is taking a lot more power than my suit. All the lights on my suit aren't at full power and the servos aren't always being used, but I have what, the 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. I have a lot of LEDs on this thing, all at full power all the time. So this battery pack doesn't last quite as long. So this helps me conserve power. This way people can just turn it on and off. In the last video, I was not sure what I was gonna use to diffuse the lights in the spikes. That was a big problem I was having because of just how the files were designed. My hacksaw method with the soldering iron to cut out the holes. This is just Scotch tape. I'm not kidding. This is literally just Scotch tape. This stuff, slightly translucent Scotch tape, and it works perfectly. Now, initially I was just using the Scotch tape, but it was way too brittle and fragile. You could push right through it. So I used very thick, perfectly clear packaging tape. So this is a thicker packing tape for like boxes that I just went over every hole with, and then over top of that, I did the packing tape, or the Scotch tape, sorry. So there's 2 layers of tape on here to diffuse the lights, and honestly, if I didn't tell you that, you probably would have never guessed. The only thing that I messed up on, and I did not think about it, is tape is sticky. There's flakes of paint and just debris that are stuck in the spikes. But like when you're far away from them, you can't tell. There's no way to get it out without taking all of the tape off, but battle damaged? And then the back cover for the refocuser is just a clear piece of PETG plastic, just white translucent plastic, and then I have the LEDs suspended behind it. Whenever I'm mounting LEDs in anything, I always try to suspend them away from the thing, because look, if I push the LEDs up against it, you can see them. I hate when you can see the LEDs, so I have them floating behind it. This way it gets diffused properly with a little bit of space. Oh, also the back the back cracked in half too, really bad. Again, really bad weld job, but there's really no way to fix it without repainting the entire suit again, and I don't want to do that. Okay, that does it for the helmet and the neck and the chest, a little bit of the electronics, the backpack. Everything else is the same, gloves, arms. All right, let me lay out the entire electrical system in a way that makes sense, and I'll kind of talk you guys through how I have everything wired, and we'll wrap this video up. That's where I left that. Yeah, I'm always leaving my camera inside my resin printers. Anyway, don't worry about it. While we're out here though, why don't we talk a little bit about resin printing, because it's gonna be a crucial piece to making my next suit. This is the Frozen Sonic Mega 8K, and it's kind of a sponsorship, but not really, but it's really important to this whole thing, so just hear me out. Now, FDM plastic printing is great and all, and it's literally how I made the previous Mark 85, the Mark 39, and most of my projects, but there's just something about resin printing that just gets you that last 1% that can really drive a project home. But with me moving forward with a new suit, I'm gonna want to incorporate a lot more resin printing into that project. Being able to resin print things like full-size helmets and large armor pieces is gonna be invaluable to this project. You guys just recently saw me make this entire Blue Beetle helmet on that Mega 8K. It's great. Frozen sent me the printer, and their only request was that I use it in projects, that I actually print stuff with it. It was kind of a double-edged sword on their part, because if the printer didn't work reliably, A, I was gonna talk about it, and B, I'd have no projects to actually show. Now, the size of the Mega 8K might be a little overkill for the current project I'm doing with it. 2 brand new Demon Slayer katanas that you guys will see later in another video, but it's just reliable. Just like plastic FDM printers, you still do need to level resin 3D printers, but this one came leveled out of the box, and that was absolutely the best thing that set it apart from most of the other resin printers I've ever used. Having a turnkey resin printer literally allowed me to just start this Blue Beetle project immediately. So if you guys are looking for a large format resin 3D printer, definitely go check out the link down below and just look at the printer, see if you're interested in it. And thank you again, Frozen, for sending me that thing. I am absolutely putting it to work. So let's go get back to the video. Now, it all starts in this little Arduino Crashworks board that I've talked about plenty of times on the channel. It's just a jumper board. The Crashworks board is a jumper board for a small Arduino Nano, and it just makes it more plug and play. Instead of having to figure out what every pin on the Arduino does, the board just gives you like servo 1, servo 2, LED eyes, auxiliary, all that fun stuff, power in, power out. So once I plug in my USB battery pack, the Arduino powers up, the mask closes, everything kind of cycles and turns on. I don't know what particular pin it is, but out of the board, I think it's like pin D4 or something, I have an aux power for the NeoPixels. So it's just daisy chained. So that signal wire goes out to this backlight, and then it goes over to here, and then here, and then here, and then it follows this wire up to the front. It actually wraps around my side, and then it comes over to the chest plate right here. It follows this wire, goes to this one, then it goes down to the abs via this plug, and then it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and it finishes. It's just one after the other in a series. The body lights are probably the easiest part of it. Like I said, it's just a daisy chain system. You have to get a positive and negative to each one of them, but the signal wire can go in and then out and then in and then out, because I'm using NeoPixel Jewels. They're great, 7-pixel LEDs, and I can change them to any color I want. The arc reactor is the same thing. Instead of following that line, there's another pin that comes out of the board, follows the same way, takes this plug right to the front of the chest, and goes right to the arc reactor. So now I have an 8x8 NeoPixel matrix, and I can program it to do whatever I want. Right now, it's just uber bright. The front section is pretty simple, so I'm actually just gonna unplug that, and we're gonna move that off to the side. That's it, it just lights up all fancy. Next up, the gloves. I have a harness coming down each arm, and after a lot of trial and error and broken wires, because you're moving your arms all day, putting your hands and wrists up, wires are going to fatigue. It's just gonna happen. I actually have little connector pins here, so I can unplug the entire arm harness and swap it out and repair it. I don't have to chase wires through the whole suit. I can just repair it as needed. Now, going down my left arm is a repulsor and the controller for my helmet. I have the same positive and negative wire going down because I need to be able to turn this LED on, but the signal wire is right here on the back of the wrist, and I've showed you this before. When I press it, it turns the LED on and off. That's it, pretty simple. But hiding right here in the glove, in the pit of where my finger is, in my middle finger, is the controller for the helmet. All I have to do is press down with this finger right here in the pit, and the helmet opens and closes. And it's a lot more subtle than the reed switches and magnets. I mean, I can barely touch it and the mask will close. I love it, it's great. So that's what all these wires are. It's a positive and negative for the LED, a signal wire for that trigger, and then a signal wire for this trigger. That's it, nothing else going on the right hand, or left hand, sorry. So let's unplug that harness completely and move that hand out of the way. Now this is the right hand with the infinity gauntlet. Same thing, I have a little trigger up here for the repulsor. So that can turn on and off if I can actually press it. So very simple, easy to do. So I'm gonna unplug the forearm now. Get that out of the way. And then there's that same trigger in the pit of my finger, except this time it controls the infinity stones. Because now there's two lighting systems up here, the repulsor here, and then the infinity stones, I have two different signal wires ran up, but they all run off of the same power system. They all run up, there's one 5-volt wire coming up here. It goes to all 5 stones, and it goes to the repulsor on my hand. The infinity stones are laid out the exact same way as my suit. They're in a series. They're just daisy chained one after the other. So there's a very tiny 3-pin JST connector, and it comes into here, it goes to the mind stone, and then the soul stone, and then it just follows around and ends. And I can turn it on and off, super easy. And last up, the helmet. Like I explained in the beginning of the video, I now just have one 5-pin JST connector that goes up to the helmet. There's a 5-volt positive that controls the servos, and then there's a 3-volt positive that goes to the LED eyes because they take less power. Both the 3-volt and the 5-volt can share the same negative wire, which is really cool, and that's because of the way the Crashworks board is designed. And then I have 2 servos, so I have servo 1 and servo 2. And that's the 5 wires I need to go into the helmet, and then I can open and close it just from the hand. And I'll tell you what, if there's one feature people love the most at cons, when you have an Iron Man suit, it's the mask opening and closing and getting jammed like that because my head's not in it. Don't worry about that. Now, I know that electronics explanation isn't exactly what some of you are looking for. I know you want a full tutorial on literally the whole diagram of how I wired everything, and I am working on that. Now that this is finalized, this is in its final form, I am going to make that video. It'll just be its own dedicated thing. But this whole suit, this backpack, the connectors to the arm harness, shortening the wires on the neck connector, adding a little bit of an elastic band to this connector so it keeps pulling down my neck and doesn't get bunched up. These are just trial and error things you're going to experience going to a con in a suit. This suit is just built on all the failures that came before it. And the new suit that I'm going to be making is going to be built on all of that. So don't get too hung up on exactly how I did something. Test some methods out for yourself and you might discover something that works even better. And I know I didn't really talk about the paint on this thing because I have a whole video dedicated to that. I will link that down below too if you want to know just how I got the finish on this. The gold I'm using, the red, the metal cast, all of that. It's a much better video that I can just explain in here, and I'd rather you guys go watch that too. There's gonna be one final Mark 85 video after this, the Mark 85 Build 1 finale, and I really hope you guys tune into that. It is gonna be a very special video, a nice, really meaningful recap of the almost 4 years of work I put into this suit. So I really hope you guys are subscribed for that because I wouldn't want you to miss it. And there's a really cool announcement coming out in that video that I'm gonna be excited to share with you all. You guys do obviously know I am making a new Mark 85, whole new build series. It's gonna be something special. I'm recording everything. Every minute I'm sanding, slicing, printing, painting. At the end of that build, we are gonna know exactly how many hours I put into making an Iron Man suit. And it's gonna be a big number. So please stay tuned for the next and final Mark 85 video. It's coming out June 17th. Yes, I already have the date locked in, so I'm really excited about that. Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video, guys. If you have any questions about anything you saw, please leave some comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You guys have a good day.